The GAA Hour is sponsored by Paddy Power. For exclusive content from their GAA ambassadors and other high-profile contributors, check out news.paddypower.com.
So John Kiley was interviewed after the game. Obviously Limerick lost by 4 points, and he said if we converted our last 2 frees, it was down to a goal. I think we just turned over a lot of ball today. Our handling errors and use of the ball, it just broke down. They were trying to put pressure on our passing game. We knew that. We could see what they were trying to do. We just made too many errors ourselves throughout the game. I suppose that's it. Putting pressure on Limerick's passing game, not letting them get those couple of short passes to get the good quality ball inside. That's the obvious way that Tipperary were taking them on.
Yeah, they were very good at it now, to be fair. It's a bit tip up their work rate a lot, and Limerick kind of possession, their execution of the 30-yard pass, which are absolutely brilliant at. They were poor there yesterday with it too, you know what I mean? It's a combination of both. But I think in the second half I seen they tried to come out 3 or 4 times from the full back line, and end of all it come back to Diarmuid Burns, and he just turned and hit it up the field, and it went back straight back to Tipperary person. First time I've seen this Limerick team actually just hitting hope down the field. They're always precise 30-yard pass, work it out through the lines going, but Tipperary had him under so much pressure that he had to just turn and hit it, because he was literally out on his feet. He tried to go out past two or three different Tipperary players at a time, turned over, got back to him, then again he just turned and hit it. Never seen that before. On Tipperary's side of the point of view, absolutely brilliant. That's all they want, you know. So they'll have to bring that now the next day and up it again, because this Limerick defence is going to be, look, they're going to beat them for the next 2 weeks with them. Show them that video. They knocked you back, and this Limerick defence is going to come out swinging now the next time as well. Like I say, it's going to set it up nicely for the Munster final, to be fair.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. Most teams playing a very similar style now, Brian, in that they're swarming the middle 8 as much as possible. They're working like dogs. They're not allowing the other team get quality ball in, and they're dropping their centre half back sweeping, so hopefully mop up the crap, you know, the under pressure clearance balls that are going in. Like, I mean, we're seeing a lot of that in matches now.
Yeah, a huge amount, yeah. And look, obviously it kind of goes swings and roundabouts, and that's the kind of template that Limerick in particular set last year. So, you know, it seems to be the way forward. Wexford probably are out on their own in terms of their tactics. But by and large, most other teams are actually playing that way. It's kind of, you know, but that's not too dissimilar to the way hurling has traditionally been played. You know, the centre-back always hurls in a half moon, the way we used to describe it, and tries to sit back. Brian Hogan did it for years there with Kilkenny, Ronan Curran with Cork, and any great centre-backs always try and sat back a little bit. And the onus was probably maybe traditionally more on the midfield to sit back, but we've seen definitely a lot more over the last couple of years where the half forward line in particular really come out and clog up the area. Sometimes when you see 2 back inside in the full forward line, but you know, it has been shown if you can leave 3 inside, it can be definitely the most dangerous, with good movement inside. But it depends on the quality ball going in then as well. If you don't have big players able to win their own ball, a high ball going in, it can be very dangerous, and it can cause consternation in around, you know, the square. But ultimately, a high ball is a batsman's ball. Like, you'll know that, JJ. Yeah. If a high ball's coming in, sure, you're lapping it up.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, as a defender, you don't want 30-yard balls out to the side and the ball bouncing before you get to it. Ideally, you'd be wrestling with your opponent there before the ball lands on top of you. That's the ideal situation for any back, you know, and that comes from the pressure your forwards put on their backs there as well. You see Shane McCallan turn over, I think Darragh Donovan there, he got a hook in, ball went up in the air, Tipperary won it straight over the bar as well, like, you know. So Tipperary were very impressive now, to be fair. They done enough, but again, they're going to have to up it the next day. Declan Hannon was a huge loss for Limerick as well. He'll definitely start centre back. Garrod Hegarty has shown how important he is from not playing yesterday, and he'll be definitely playing the Munster final.
Hegarty, Lynch, Mulcahy and Hannon. That's arguably their 4 best players. Yeah.
But I think Hegarty now, he's vital now. He actually, the role he has in, he'll disrupt that Tipperary half back line, which are dominant yesterday, where Noel McGrath was sitting very, very deep, allowed Paddy to sit back and kind of cover the full back then, cover Aaron Gillan as well. But I think Noel McGrath had a brilliant game yesterday. He was back in his own 21-yard line, done a lot of work, back in the own 21-yard, getting hooks, getting blocks, something that you wouldn't associate to Noel McGrath, but he's adding that to his game. But when he gets the ball in his hand, that's when the Tipperary attack, he's like a quarterback, he just pings it into people's hands. I'd say, Brian, you'd love to be playing with him, because especially when he's out the field, he just put it in your pocket. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, he knows exactly where to put it. It's definitely an interesting one. I thought the biggest matchup of the game was Kyle Hayes and Paddy Maher. Brian, was it like Kyle Hayes was dropping into midfield, Paddy Maher wasn't following him? So, like, I mean, I can't see Limerick wanting that situation again the next day. Paddy played so well.
Yeah, and he did. And again, we have to give credit to Tipperary from that perspective, because they're clogging up that area and their work rate is phenomenal. And we saw that in throughout this Munster Championship, particularly in the Cork match though, where they clogged up that middle area and worked so hard. And Kyle Hayes is really important to Limerick as well, because he's so dynamic. He's a young man, but he's really powerful. And when he gets that ball, he's very hard to stop. And when he's his eye in then as well, he's well able to chip in with 3 or 4 points. But look, it's food for thought now, probably for both teams. I personally would have been leaning on doing what Tip did, as you know, last week. I'd be all for keep winning. It's very important. Keep driving it home. Like, for Limerick's perspective, while it's set up well and obviously the players to come back into it, it's very hard to be switching on and off. And they don't, because they've made changes. Paddy O'Loughlin coming in and wing back doing really well. Peter Casey in instead of Seamus Flanagan. They still don't really know what their first 15 is at the moment either. So it's they need to probably settle down now. Obviously, it's the right time of the year to start settling down in a Munster final, but consistency in their team as well, and that's important, because while it might be okay changing one lad, when you start changing 2 or 3 consistently, it becomes a bit disruptive towards the team as well. And while it's that fine line in management, I suppose, between trying to make sure that players are bursting themselves trying to make that team, and then actually allowing the team to settle down. And particularly in your backline, I think you need a settled backline in midfield more than anything.
Yeah, the Shane Dowling and Seamus Flanagan, they're the two that come on and make an impact off the bench so far this year. Flanagan only lasted till half time, Shane Dowling to 43 minutes. I'm not sure Shane Dowling suited to that role. If he's trying to play the Hegarty role, that's definitely not his game. Whereas Flanagan seems to definitely, on the evidence of yesterday, have lost his spark. And we're all banging on about him based on last year's form, but we don't know how he's playing in training. There has to be a reason, because on last year's form, he has to get on the team.
And he got a great chance of a goal there as well in the first half, and he had scored that confidence could have went through the roof.
Had to throw that across though, didn't he? No?
Yeah, I suppose. Look, again, Brian will tell you more than...
Yeah, Brian, yeah.
Don't be asking me them questions.
JJ had nosebleed to be that far.
I never made it up that far.
No, look, when it goes wrong, of course, you should have thrown it. That kind of way.
Yeah.
You expect your top class forwards to score those. Probably, definitely a goal if you throw it across. So it depends. It depends on your confidence as well. He's probably trying to make an impression, trying to get his own goal. So there's a lot of factors at play there. He's obviously, as you said, Wooly, he's not playing to the same heights he was last year. He was carrying a bit of an injury there, before the start of the Munster Championship as well. So, you start to feel that pressure too. And Seamus Flanagan, remember, more or less came out of nowhere, because he was a guy that couldn't make the Limerick under-21 team that won the All-Ireland, and then the year after starts full forward. And it turns Gerard McInerney up on his arse and during the Ireland sets the tone for that Limerick win. And so it's tough for him, because he's obviously an honest guy. He's just going probably through a bad patch of form at the moment. So, but as I said, you don't mind the odd forward being changed in or out, because that's you'll see that with all good teams. But I think they need to settle on their midfield and their half back line probably in particular, because is it Dan Morrissey, Declan Hannon, and obviously what these names gone? What's his name? Darragh Burns. Thank you. How did I forget that? And then obviously is Dara Donovan on the team, or is it William O'Donoghue? You know what I mean? So I just think they need to settle on that, because it wasn't broken last year. And settle down whoever it is and just play it away then, and allow that defence and midfield as a unit then to work as best they can.
Yeah, quickly here before we move on to the other game, is Kyle Hayes dropped his hurl at one stage and started tackling Paddy Maher. And Michael Duignan said on the call commentary that he was standing him up or something. But I was under the impression, if you don't have your hurl, can you tackle the man?
You can tackle, yeah. As long as you don't deliberately drop your hurl, you can tackle. Just make your body, 2 arms out either side, make yourself as big as possible, and hopefully you can stand him up. If he stands up, obviously he's going to be over carrying. You get a free in there.
Right.
But some people, if you put your arms out, the defender or the forward will wrap their head around your hand and buy your free then as well. You know what I mean? So that's important. But on Kyle Hayes, you'd wonder would Limerick actually sit him on Paddy Maher the next day, because he sat off him there yesterday, and Paddy Maher again, we're talking about Tipperary, and Paddy Maher is a free man again. Tipperary are working this tactic down to they have it down to a fine art, because no one is noticing, but he's always the spare man. He sits in front of that full back line and clears up the ball, and then he goes up the field and scores as well. So do Limerick actually get Kyle Hayes right? I know you're going back out the field. I know it'll tweak their tactics a small bit, but is the bigger reason to break down this Tipperary defence, go after Paddy Maher, don't leave him free? Or do you just kind of hopefully he doesn't get on the ball again, because he was on a savage amount of ball again there?
Well, Limerick,
knock their biggest pillar, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you go after. You know, go after their big dogs, essentially. Like, you know, if you want to break them down, sometimes you can't go around them. Like, you know, sometimes, and it lifts the whole team when you go after them. Definitely.
But is this not Tipperary after showing their hand? Now, it's not like we've never seen Paddy play that role before, but especially on Kyle Hayes, where Limerick are a very tactical team, and Kinnerk is a very tactical thinker, that they'll definitely have thought about this. And you wouldn't be surprised if Graham Mulcahy maybe starts there. You wouldn't know what they do, but what Kyle Hayes told me after the All-Ireland final last year is that they like to go into areas that teases the man out with them. Do you know what I mean? So maybe Kyle Hayes will even know this himself and go, right, I dropped too deep on a few occasions. Noel McGrath picked me up.
Yeah, he was dropping there small.
Who's then? You see, Keane Lynch will be playing the last day. So if Noel McGrath's dropping off onto Kyle Hayes, now Keane Lynch is free. You know what I mean? Limerick will have this well discussed, won't they?
Well, I'd like to see just one team go up on Paddy Maher. Don't leave him free. He's obviously the best player for Tipperary at the moment. Like, why would you leave the best distributor of the ball free all the time? And they have, now, whatever way Tipperary are working it, for the last 4 games he's been relatively free. Like, you have to stop him.
The other teams are giving him that.
Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why you want Limerick come up with something to nullify his threat, like, you know, that kind of way. Don't leave him free. For whatever you do, don't leave him free, because he's hitting a world of ball.
He is, and he's the best, I think, at that kind of thing. With
so strong. He comes out and breaks and tackles
distribution,
as well, like.
And he's inspirational,
and he can score from distance as well. Like,
the crowd really get behind him as well. Right, Wexford Kilkenny, lads. I thought this was a scrappy enough game to watch, but look, this is the way Wexford are always involved in scrappy games. Why? Because they feckin' flood the middle third of field, and you don't get a second to breathe. And every game they play, it's a scrappy game. I mean, whose fault is this?
They're happy enough with that, will you?
But they want to drag you into the trenches and win a scrappy game, and that's it. Like, I mean, that's how Gaelic football went for a while, and that's what Wexford are still doing. So they'll have everybody bar 1. Sometimes they'll have everyone bar 2, and a bit like Waterford as well. But, like, I mean, there's no doubt, Brian, it's an effective tool to bring the game down to a level where the other team doesn't know whether they're coming or going, really.
Yeah, and I don't know, am I going soft or something, but I have to give them credit, because they have gone unbeaten. I'll take that side of it. You know, they have gone to Galway and drew with Galway. They've gone to Parnell Park, drew with Dublin, and should have won that game. And then obviously, you know, they've drawn with Kilkenny in their home patch, so they make it very awkward. The only thing I'll say is we didn't see anything different from Wexford there. And they bring savage intensity under Davy Fitz, to be fair to them, and they play this, you know, football style tactical approach. But I actually thought Kilkenny, for once, actually dealt with it really well, because
they did.
Usually Wexford bombard Kilkenny in this situation. You know, we saw, and we weren't surprised this match, O'Hanlon completely man-marked TJ Reid and nullified him. You know, just followed him absolutely everywhere. You know, that's not the first time we've seen that happen. You know, obviously their sweeper Kevin Foley then getting in around and on the breaks. But, you know, I thought Kilkenny at the back in particular worked it really well. Pádraig Walsh, obviously that score he got where he caught a great ball, you know, gave it and went after the return, flying up the field. Fantastic score. But not just him, you know, like Paul Murphy got up the field a couple of times, had a pint, had a wide. You know, Paddy Deegan got a pint before he was taken off, I think. And then you had, you know, Joey Holden got up there as well, even. So, you know, you know, like the Kilkenny half-backs, if they gave a hand pass, they went up the field, you know, so they kind of counteracted it. It was like a game of chess, like, you know, so they seem to kind of play Wexford a little bit at their own game with runners coming from deep, and it actually worked really well. So full credit to Kilkenny, because they're not obviously renowned for tactics, but I think they got it fairly well set up the other day against this Wexford team, who have, as I said, have caused them huge problems with that tactical approach over the last couple of years. Yeah,
they've definitely wised up, JJ. Like, they've played Wexford enough in the last 2 years to go, right, that didn't work, let's try this. And then we flirted with the short game last year, and then against Wexford Saturday night, it was like, under no circumstances drive it down there, you know, unless you have to.
Yeah, again, against the second half against Dublin as well, they were using the sharp puckouts to Kilkenny's advantage as well. Like, they were playing through the lines a lot more, and I think the backs had a lot more licence to go with the forwards. When the Wexford forwards came out in midfield, As Brian said, Paul Murphy had a shot in the first half and then scored in the second half, but they were all attacking as well, so they had license to go with their man. They went man to man, and Pádraig was sitting back there, and Pádraig had a brilliant game. He was sweeper, he wasn't marking anyone, but he was on 20 possessions, and he got back and he stopped a certain goal as well for Conor McDonald. He got back in time for a brilliant flick as well. And then he was just setting up attack after attack after attack, and he was a platform for Kilkenny as well. And then Kevin Foley, which is the out-and-out sweeper for Wexford, he was only on the ball 11 times, where Pádraig was on it 20 times.
I saw that stat.
You think that it should be the other way around, you know what I mean? That shows how well Kilkenny used the ball, and two big players. Then Walter got a point when the ball was poked out to him, and he didn't score from play. But again, Wexford had their matchups 100% right, but the backs were on top either way. First half, D. O'Keefe was absolutely brilliant. He got 4 points. Got 2 from the exact same situation, right on the wing, pinged the ball over the bar. James Maher came on him in the second half, 20 minutes ago.
Did he roast Killian Buckley in the first half?
He got 4 points in the first half of Killian there, yeah.
Killian be rusty enough still.
And they went down through the middle a couple of times there as well, and Murphy came out with a brilliant save off Rory O'Connor.
That was a great
which
save.
Is a brilliant move from Wexford as well, as a 1-2. And again, what Brian said, they went again for the return pass, and Hugh Lawler had a great game now as well. Like, backs either side were well on top. But no, it's a good game, hard hitting as well. Like, you know what I mean? Exactly what you expect from Wexford. Going to bring that, and Kenny match their intensity and match their work rate as well. So there's never going to be kind of a 10 point swing either way. You know what I mean? It's going to come down to the last minute, and that's what it's done. Like,
isn't it funny, Brian, seeing Kilkenny play those short stick passes like Cork do? Like, I can't get. It's just, I find it a little bit unusual. Yeah. It's a little bit unusual when you see him doing it. But like, I mean, when you think about it, Kilkenny were always traditionally the most skillful team, so there's no reason why they can't bloody do that anyways. But it definitely is weird seeing the black and amber going with these little short Cork style.
We're only catching up in the tactics now, way. That's how we're
But do you find
you're waiting for someone like Tommy just to get it and lamp it hitting it underhand. But no, it is weird. But look, if you actually listen to Cody's message for the last 5 or 6 years, look, he's always had this message, but particularly in the last 5 or 6 years where it's not been the same dominant team that it had, but he's constantly going with this message that it's back on the players. Once they cross the white line, they have to read the situation. They're brilliant players if they're not being selected to hurl for Kilkenny or any county team as far as he's concerned, and you have to figure out these situations on the field and know when to hand pass, know when to strike pass, know when to hit it short, etc. Like, I fully agree with him. We can be overdone with tactics of, you hit the ball here in this certain situation. Like, come on, sometimes you just have to figure it out. And I think Cody's message there, that constant message, is really important. And sometimes we don't actually listen to the simple words he's actually saying.
Yeah, maybe. TJ got really frustrated with O'Hanlon, didn't he? Like, I mean, he got 5 possessions in the first half. Is this a lesson to any team that want to play, that TJ's playing number 11 and the centre-back standing off him? Like, have you not learned last night that someone has to, and is it James Breen did it before with Wexford? Yeah. No player in Gaelic football, hurling, wants to be man-marked all over the field, especially when you like to roam for possession. Like, when you're being man-marked, then you're not being picked out because someone's beside you.
But the system that Wexford play allows that to happen as well. Because if Matthew's gone out to the wing, Kevin Foley says centre back. There's still six backs, even if TJ and Matthew are going up the field. You know, that kind of way. So that allows that a bit more. I say a lot of people are just afraid to do that, because if you go man to man and you only 5 defenders, a lot of space for the forwards there as well, and your centre might be open as well, because normally your centre back would probably your most dominant player anyway, you know, that kind of way. So yeah, it's just the system allows that as well, and Kevin Foley sits back, and then each other defender goes touch tight on their man, goes man to man.
Yeah, Dublin did that too, didn't
they? Yeah, they did. But what I think Matthew was brilliant at with TJ was that he wasn't allowing TJ to set himself in the air at all. So he wasn't getting an opportunity to jump for the ball. He wasn't getting an opportunity to come side by side, which you prefer when you're trying to catch the ball. He was constantly just up on top almost of his shoulders. So, he was really making it difficult for TJ to get any sort of attempt at catching the ball cleanly. I thought that was most impressive. And I think, fairness to TJ, he never shirks away from hard work or that side of. We were praising him last week about it, but I just thought Matthew stopped him in that particular case of catching clean ball, because I think that's how sometimes TJ can work his way into a game as well. He can just go out and snap a ball out of the air and gain confidence out of that. At the end of the day, we're all human. It's all about confidence, and it doesn't matter who you are, you will start to get rattled after a while if it's not working.
You have to give TJ credit on the frees as well. He was immaculate. The last free wasn't an easy one either, and when you're not playing well, it's very easy now to miss kind of free like that. He was 65 yards out, but he pinged it straight over the bar. In fairness,
I doubt it was never in doubt. You just knew
but still, like, it's still we take for granted, fair enough, but he still was a good free to take.
Oh no, it's class. Like there's no such thing as an easy free, and we saw that Shirley Chin, hit the post with what you would have reckoned was a relatively easy free just before that then as well. So no, TJ, yeah, you're dead right. You have to give him credit for that too. He kept his head.
I don't think he'll be buying Matthew O'Hanlon a pint anytime soon.
No.
There's a lot of trash talking going on there. Gaelic football style lads creeping into this hurling carry on too. All this Donegal Tyrone trash talking.
Some hit by Matthew O'Hanlon at the end.
Oh, it was. He was wide open.
Borderline a red card on its own now.
Yeah,
he was lucky he was on the yellow.
Second yellow, I'd say it was. Yeah, but it was the late hit. He rattled him out.
He rattled him into the stand.
Yeah, so there was no. And Davy Fitz questioned that as well.
Yeah,
like he's arguing to the referee about that. The most like how. Oh look, you might as well just forget about that fella. Like I mean, there's nothing he's going to agree with.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. So, but Conor McDonald and Rory O'Connor both had those goal chances. Obviously, you mentioned Owen Murphy came out and swallowed up Rory O'Connor really quickly, and Hugh Lawler did the rest. Pádraig Walsh had a hook, I think, on Conor McDonald, who caught a couple of dangerous balls. But Walsh was over on him straight away, though. Yeah. Walsh played that sweeper role very well, I thought.
Very, very well now. Especially the first half, he stayed back in the full back line really more than that. And Hatton came short. He went out attacking. He was running. He's good legs as well, now, in fairness. But he's seen that bit of danger there. I suppose from playing full back the last couple of years himself, he knew where that danger was going to be, and he marked Conor McDonald himself too. So he was there right on him. And because
a lot of sweepers, though, like I mean, it's gas the different roles of sweepers. Walsh is able to get over and double up, whereas a lot of some sweepers might see that and go, right, well, I'm going to cover here in case the ball comes across. But like I mean, it's instinctive to know when to get across and double up, or when to hold the middle, like I mean, a good sweeper, knows all these kind of things.
But with that, the Wexford only had one guy up at that particular time. It was Conor McDonald, so he had to get in around him. He had to, when the ball was going there, he turned around. There was only one option there to get back and help out Hugh Lawler as well, So yeah, no, he played very, very well now, fairest to him.
Yeah, no, definitely was. Right, lads, we'll leave it there.